Alright guys, welcome back to our Let's Play of Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. We are heading back into the special episodes, and already we've been getting quite a few instances where they are breaking the fourth wall by literally talking to the player themselves. But we're heading into episode 2, London. We just had a tea party with everybody kind of reuniting. So let's head into episode 2 called London. Whoa! Animated pullout.
Wow, it's been ages since we were last here, Professor. Oh, I think I remember this place, isn't this?
That's right, this is where we came right after you were snatched away by witches. In fact, it's where our investigations began.
There seems to be a lot of people around, given the time of day.
I've seen a bunch of other people wearing top hats just like you, Professor. Has there been some kind of English top hat revival?
Not of note, perhaps there was a wedding. At any rate, I thought I'd introduce you to some places related to last year's incident.
Wow, that sounds like fun, right, Nick?
Well then, without any further ado, shall we make our way to the next location?
Oh, this is where we ran into the Great Witch, isn't it? Eve was really on top form that night, wasn't she? You said that scene was super intense. My eyes were totally glued to the screen.
Oh man.
Our next stop is a famous London park.
I'm not gonna get over this breaking the fourth wall.
Oh, you mean the park where Carmine and I were trying to escape from the witches in the car?
And I just dropped my stylus. That must be where that crazy crash happened, right? After that, Carmine took his leave for the rest of the game.
If we're lucky, the park should still be open at this time. There's something I'd like to show you all, but I'd better go on ahead and get it ready. Hey, check it out, it's that Walden Puzzle. If you solve the puzzle, you get to enter the spooky secret room.
Oh, I guess that puzzle was a little arduous, as I recall. Moving all those heavy blocks around was quite a physical challenge.
There's a bit of a crowd around it, so I'm not sure we can get much nearer. Yep, tons of top hats here, too. I can't even see the pattern on the wall.
God, I can't even speak. Not to worry, let's head towards the park instead. Although now that the mysterious accident has been cleared away, there's nothing particularly eye-catching about it.
Well, it makes sense. What? Is this like Harry Potter 2 or Back to the Future? What the?
Whoa, no kidding, I didn't know cars could fly like that.
This is most peculiar. I'm quite certain that accident had already been cleared away.
Layton, what brings you here this evening? Who is this?
Well, if it isn't... Inspector Chelmy.
Oh, I think I remember this guy.
Wow, the famous Inspector Chelmy. Pleased to meet you, sir.
I think it was like very early into the game. That's why I'm barely remembering him though.
I can't imagine what you're all doing here. That mysterious incident has long since been cleared up. You say that, Inspector, but there would appear to be something rather out of place up in that tree, would there not? Well, needless to say, Scotland Yard has no intention of divulging any such information to the likes of you lot. Then again, I suppose it can't hurt to fill you in on the basics. That vehicle is what you might call a game set piece tourist attraction.
Game set piece?
All on account of your game being such a big hit, of course.
Oh man. How flattering, I guess.
Ever since your little collaboration was released, this right here has become a popular spot amongst fans. Tour guides are dressing up as the main characters and leading fans around on tours of the city. Oh, that'll explain it then. Name me the reason behind our seeing so many top hats around this evening. Spot on, Layton. Believe it or not, those people are dressing up as you. How intriguing. I might imagine I must look like a fan as well. You might even say I'm impersonating myself.
Say, what about the car up there? Was that reconstructed for the tour?
As I've said before, Scotland Yard has no intention of divulging any information on the matter. None. Well, I suppose this little scrap of info is only fair. A vehicle is what you might call the main tourist magnet of this whole bleeding park.
Tourist magnet?
You heard me right. They held something really memorable near the end of the tour, see? Some bright spark decided they'd call in a bit of audience participation to recreate the accident as the tour's grand finale.
Wait, recreate the accident as in he would throw this car into a tree again, recreate? No way!
I tell you, some of these game fans are brave as a bobby. First they drive along a predetermined course, Then that stone statue over there gets up and chucks the vehicle as its occupants up into that tree. As precisely as possible.
I was kind of hoping you'd say something a little more reassuring, like with flawless precision.
You know that their vehicle was thrown into the tree just a moment ago. I'm astonished that such a plan could manage to obtain approval. Well, you know Londoners, they're all dear to their heart. It's pretty popular with the folk over at Scotland Yard, too.
But doesn't it strike anyone as a little weird?
Weird? What do you mean by that, Missy?
That statue was supposed to have been moved by witchcraft, wasn't it? But there's no such thing as witchcraft here in London. That's right. How do you explain that, Inspector?
Listen, you lot, how many times do I need to say it? I have no intention of divulging that kind of sensitive information.
This is ridiculous.
I suppose this little hint would be out of order, but this is the last time you hear me. Anyone who's cleared this game already knows that magic isn't the real deal.
Exactly.
Well, truth is, that stone bloke over there is in fact a robotic bloke, created with the very latest ultra-advanced technology.
Robotic?
It just so happens that research has been carried out day and night over at the Realm Incorporated in order to make magic a reality. That statue is a prototype that came about through their research.
Well, what's a prototype like that doing here?
Well, it seems like the Realm were rich enough to buy up that part of the park.
Why would they go placing a statue like that in the park?
There's a good reason for that, you see. When that upstart detective took a spell and fled Labyrinthia, they needed some way of grabbing his car and lobbing it into a tree.
That's so improbable, it's ridiculous.
Funny you should say that. The Realm's corporate slogan is making the impossible improbable. If I may interject, why exactly is that robot picking up tourist cars and throwing them to that tree? Why not investigate that yourself, Layton? Well, apparently the president of the Realm is no longer in need of magic, so he's donated the statue to the people of London.
Inspector Chelmy, do you mind if I ask you something?
What is it?
You've been telling us since the start that you have no intention of divulging any information, but now it kind of feels like you've told us everything. I mean, why make a big deal about divulging things if you're just going to tell us anyway? Oh, gosh.
Do you have any idea what you've just said?
Huh?
Don't you lot understand the whole fierce, authoritative hierarchy going on between Layton and me?
Authoritative hierarchy?
I always have to say something like, keep your nose out of police affairs, Layton. Even though everyone already knows from the start of which of us is the more talented.
Right, I guess.
To be downright honest, I'd be more than happy to tell Layton everything I know, but I can't just do that now, can I? No, that would be too simple. I've got to stand firm under the steely gaze of all the players and put it on an air of superiority.
God.
That's my sad fate as Layton's rival.
No kidding. Well, sounds like that's a weight off your shoulder, Inspector.
It's good to vent a little once in a while. I mean, this is a special episode after all. Oh my God.
Inspector, you didn't think about things too much. It's certainly not something worth worrying about. In truth, I have never once considered you to be my rival. What the devil is that supposed to mean? Tell me what you're getting at. My dear Inspector Chelmy, it seems it means that I see you not as a rival, but rather as a friend. As a friend, you say? Well, that's just what I was getting at.
Is it me or has anyone else noticed those long, awkward pauses between Inspector Chelmy's answers?
I'd abandon that line of questioning if I were you, Maya. Mina. Wow, that's a new name.
Normally, of course, that kind of free-flowing information only comes from Constable Barton. Constable Barton, you say? He's the one who gives too much away, meaning I have to say something like, oh, shut it, Barton, I'll do the talking. But he isn't around today, which is why I felt the need to pause. Hence all the uncomfortable silences before I answer. Now that you mention it, Constable Barton is rather conspicuous by his absence this evening.
Speaking of being absent... What about Luke? We haven't seen him since he left us and went on ahead. Hey, that's right! Luke! Hey, Luke! Don't tell me he's been abducted by a witch, not after all we've been through.
Oh, man.
Fair enough, Miss Faye, I can assure you he's quite alright.
What do you mean, Mr. Layton?
If you're concerned about Luke's whereabouts, then I have something that may be able to offer some clarity.
Huh? Does that mean what I think it means?
Quite right, Miss Faye, it's time for a puzzle.
Again with the puzzles.
It would appear that before Luke went on ahead, he left us a message. If we can solve this puzzle, we'll no doubt gain an important clue as to his current whereabouts.
Alright, bring it. Puzzle 72. Chatty Parrots. A flock of parrots has a message to convey. Each different parrot has a word they just love to get across, but unfortunately they're all speaking at once. This means their message is getting a bit scrambled. Okay. Dark afternoon loves his tea. Layton loves his dark tea. What? Loves his dark afternoon chocolate. Layton in his dark afternoon. Layton dark chocolate and tea. So it's late. Okay. Okay, so that's Layton. And then we have loves. Said by that bird. Then we have his. It's gotta be something T. So it's either afternoon or dark. So let's go with afternoon first and see how that works.
Maya the Magnificent strikes again.
That was a really weird but easy puzzle.
Not too shabby, if I do say so myself.
She sounded really snooty there.
Not too bad for myself.
Okay. A gentleman like the professor always makes time for tea. So Layton loves his afternoon tea is meant to be some kind of clue.
Way to state the obvious, Luke. Yes, we all know Mr. Layton loves his tea.
I'd hardly call it a revelation. Oh, indeed, it would seem there was no clue to be had after all. Where in the blazes has Barton got to anyway? I could have sworn he was here when that youngster arrived.
Oh, so Luke did come to this park after all.
After all?
After all. And guys, remember what he said? There's something I want to show you all, but I've got to jolly well get it ready first, governors, or something like that.
To me, that something sounds like it can only be referring to one thing.
Remind me, what was it that you said a moment ago, Inspector? Something about that attraction being popular amongst your colleagues at Scotland Yard?
Well, yes, remember saying that, alright, but what are you suggesting? Do you think the something he wanted to show us in this attraction could be the same thing?
You mean Luke and Constable Barton? Oh no, what shall we do?
Uh-oh.
Luke!
Luke, are you in there?
Oh, I think I hear something coming from the top of the tree.
Professor! How are we supposed to get down from up here?
Well, at least it seems like Luke is okay, thank goodness. That's how it ends? Oh my gosh. Yep, he's okay. That's the end of the episode. Oh man, this is just silly. I mean, I love this, but this is just, it's just silly. I'm enjoying it though. That's the good thing. Alright, so that was episode 2, London. Ace Attorney in London Part 2. So in the next episode will be, or the next part I should say, we'll be going to episode 3, Another Visit. So stay tuned for more of these crazy special episodes for Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney on the 3DS. Coming up next. Stay tuned, everybody. Peace out.
Let's go, like we're the school.